let's talk about Donald Trump. Now, for this conversation and topic, I will be covering and doing my best to be objective and see this issue through many perspectives and scopes. But you, as an audience, need to understand a few things for this to make sense and for us to understand. These things are, you have to be a little and have a little knowledge in politics, the Constitution, sociology, how the media works, economics, and basically how people work, right? You have to understand capitalism, plutocracy, and meritocracy, and the idea of pulling oneself from the bootstraps and finding ways to prosper, right? But most importantly, this will illustrate how we don't live in a free society, right? How you're not allowed to have different views from people, right? You don't have the right to be a racist. You don't have the right to speak about what the government is doing and revealing what behind the curtain, so to speak. That's how you know we don't live in a free society. Because whether good or wrong, you should be able to have your views as long as you're not detrimental to somebody else or gonna do harm, right? Then you should be able to speak your mind. If you're a racist, hey, you're a racist. Nothing that I will say will be able to change you, but you should have, hopefully you be respectful in your views. But if not, now the issue here is illegal immigration, not legal immigration. The United States has a process that allows immigrants to come over and live the American dream. Let me ask you this: if conditions are so bad here in the states, why are people down south coming over here, right? They probably have more freedom down south, but they understand where there is no work, there is no food to eat. And here in America, there's a lot of work to in the fields, right? Specifically in the fields and just work in general. There's a lot of money. It just depends where that money is being allocated from, right? And who's getting their hands on it. Now that being said, Donald Trump may sound like a dumbass and he may sound and say some stupid shit, but you know, he's a celebrity, right? He's got terrible television shows on primetime channels, local channels that many people, the apprentice of celebrities. I don't really know what he's got, but I just know the dude's a billionaire, right? And the shows is just basically like a megalomaniac, basically his ego on these shows, from my understanding. Now, why do people even celebrate and cheer for this guy? Well, because he's a celebrity, and people here in America, we love our celebrities. We feel like we can relate to them, and since you think you know them because you watch them, the cameras are on them so every day, and you aspire to be them. So that's why, I mean, you see Ronald Reagan, you see all these characters and divas, Arnold Schwarzenegger, be and hold positions of power, right? Now, what Donald Trump is doing, he's talking and taking on an issue that has real life implications to America and her interest. It has implications on families, people, immigrants, minorities, the fiscal, the U.S. economy, the budget, everything. Now, first, America is a nation of immigrants, correct? However, white America has won over the United States, right? The land of the America. Um, White America did a takeover, right? And you know a little bit of your history, you should understand how this happened. Um, they took what they wanted, they seen their eyes on the prize and took it, right? Through propaganda, violence, politics, the economy, backstabbing, legislation, you name it, they did it, right? Why did they do this? Well, because there's a lot of money, there's a lot of interest, there's a better way of living, there's a lot of food, a lot of resources. They wanted to see the world advance in the name of progress and to advance civilization. Very progressive, right? From a lot of smart, witty people. Uh, Very cruel, but the people in power needed progress. And once they were done with politics, they set their eyes on the prize and the vision that they had set in their mind of what they wanted to see done in their lifetime. So they had to hasten the process, right? So they can see it in their lifetime. That being said, they created heinous acts on every race possibly you can think of. They used many terms. They used race psychology to break down people's self-esteem, to say they're retarded, dumbasses. They don't understand these things. That's why they work the menial jobs. That's why they behave the way they do. Every possibility thing you can do of races, eugenics, all that stuff they used, right? They did this on the Native Americans, the blacks, the Hispanics, now the Middle Eastern people for the crude oil, the resources, their metals, you name it, they're after it. This is how America has become a world power, world domination. This is how they achieved it, and these are just basic words, but you just gotta know your history, like I said in the beginning. Now that being said, they did this not only to have the and to be entitled and be like, this is mine, this is what I claimed, but more importantly because of money, power, and a future and stability for their children. Illegal immigration and legal immigration challenges these factors to white society and white America. Like Louis Farrakhan says, white man's heaven is a black man's hell. Have the masses do the hard labor while these smart men, usually white in color, experience the best things life can offer. Now back on Trump. He's trying to attempt to run for president, right? Now many people will think he is a racist. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't, right? But most would say, however, most would say yes. However, he is simply playing the stage. Like Shakespeare has said, the world's a stage. Politics has everything to do with your tone and playing to your audience, right? And creating either promises, false promises, and ideologies. As of right now, Trump has the mic in his hands and the podium to present his views, whether good or bad, right? This is freedom of speech. The media is focusing so much attention. Why? Maybe for ratings, maybe for their interest on their behalves. Maybe they are racist too and they share Trump's ideas. Why are we not complaining to the media to no longer show this guy and give him a platform to speak on? But that would trample the First Amendment, right? Now, many people will say what Donald Trump is doing is not that. What he's doing is hate speech. He's enticing the audience to create separation and divide many people that feel threatened by this. Whether deliberately or inadvertently, this may be his intention, but Trump and people should expect some reactions, good or bad. Maybe because they don't really fully understand what is really going on behind every one of those words and every one of those moves and the right to assemble. Now, I will try my best to dissect them and simplify it so I and all of us can understand and start having civilized conversations about politics, legal immigration, documentation, and just world life implications as opposed to just worrying about what this guy's shoes wearing and sports, right? And I love all those things, obviously, but we got to start getting involved in the system because the system works. It just people don't participate in it. And we need to have our words mean something, and we have to stand by our words and by our position and start acting like civilized Americans. Now, Trump has the right to speak his mind. This is the freedom of speech. That includes his racist remarks towards immigrants. We as people have the right to slander and lambast him if we choose to. And the people has spoken, and he has lost so many views and lost so much television shows and revenue on platforms like the local channels, his television shows, right? He is countersuing them for doing so, which appears that we are doing is fueling the machine and giving this guy too much power and attention, which is specifically what he wants to do and needs. The world's a stage and he's playing it quite well, right? This is needed to divide people. Again, what if Bernie Sanders had some racist remarks? Would we finally pay attention to him? Donald Trump right now has the spotlight and the platform, like I said before, but simply the masses, we are emotional, and many people know that Trump is doing and what Trump is doing is wrong. However, let's look at the issue illegal immigration critically. The issue, of course, being illegal immigration, not legal. It's a bold issue and a bold stance coming from Trump, and he's very strong right now, and a very relevant issue at this moment, and will be in the foreseeable future. Since Trump is being cold, bold, and strong, and has the audacity to speak the way he is in this issue, racially calling out immigrants criminals, right? He's, I guess, saying all immigrants that are coming over from, the trains or swimming are all Mara Salvatrucha people like MS-13s or cartels. Many are, maybe or not. Have you seen documentaries? Have you seen films? Seen Hombre from that director from Santa Cruz, Kerry Fukunaga, who also did True Detective. You'll see people, all races, just hopping on trains without food. It's basically a pilgrimage to come from here, hopping on trains. You see a lot of turmoil go on through these experiences just to get to the border, right? Now, that being said, he's equating everybody to be criminals and rapists and all these things, right? Again, that's emotional. sensational, but let's look at the issue critically. Now, these are some facts. It just happens based on California Governor Jerry Brown's new state budget. Latinos are projected to become the largest single racial ethnic group in the state by March of this year, making up 39% of the state's population. That will make California only the second state behind New Mexico where whites are not the majority and Latinos are the plurality, meaning they are not more than half, but they comprise the largest percentage of any group in that state. Now, if y'all don't realize, that is a big politically sway in votes. We in California hold the most representatives, right? The House of Representatives, which is political power, 53 in the Electoral College, 53 House of Representatives, and 2 senators. So a total of 55 out of like 500 and like, I don't know, like 35 or 37. California is in the top 10 of economies in the whole world. And agriculture, Silicon Valley, services are big reasons for that, which means tons of money is in this place. You feel me, homeboy? This is very threatening to white America if they're not getting their hands on it, and immigrants are, right, in agriculture per se. Because not only will immigrants, most likely Latinos and Hispanics, will be more educated, policies like affirmative action, etc., and the political powers can shift, and they, white America, can be less influential and feel threatened, right? Jobs, careers, and almost everything you can think of, from language to music, can all change, especially if you fall in the racist category. Your so-called purity will diminish and races will mix, right? They'll start falling in love with one another. This is just stating the obvious, so don't get mad at me. I'm not making none of this up. This is how politics thinks. Now that we mentioned a few issues and consequences of immigrants coming in and populating California, Latino and Hispanic families love having them babies, you dig? Huge families, right? This becomes even more of an issue, especially with global warming, resources, jobs, unemployment. This all has real life implications, but people are not talking about this. They're just talking about Trump being a racist. But this is the issue that he's talking about behind the curtains, right? Or this is what his, candidates and his people in office, right, are talking about. Trump is just a face, but these are what really goes behind the scenes. So this is where Trump comes in, right? And if he is bold enough, like he's showing the world, to mention and talk loudly of an issue by being disrespectful and hostile, well, he is playing to a crowd and the big issues, and his backers are loving every inch of it, which his supporters understand. However, the rest of the world will only call him out for his racist remarks and dismiss and miss the entire point of what these issues are really all about. Okay, now Trump is more than a guy that is speaking his mind, and his issues he is against are very threatening to white America, right? And will be so if white America does not do anything about it. The threats being these illegal immigrants, children will get benefits and education, which will lead them to prosper. And don't think for a second that with education, they will work on the fields. They might, but as a career, they're looking for something more, because they will have seen their parents work the fields, work back-breaking labor, and they will be that much motivated. There'll be pressure, but they'll be that much motivated to study hard in the books. As like there's another study that showed that a lot of Latinos are going to colleges and getting degrees. Again, this is threatening to people and Americans who are here through documentation and proper immigrants and civilians and the whole 9 yards, that they can take over their jobs in the future. Maybe not the field workers, but definitely the field workers' children, because when the 14th Amendment, everybody's equal under the law, so to speak. Once you're born here, you're a citizen, which means you have all the rights of everybody else. That is very detrimental and fearful for white America. Again, from rags to riches, correct? Now back on Trump. This guy is not a joke, so don't take this guy lightly. We need to be very careful not to be so emotional like Jorge Ramos. He's almost proving this guy's point. Jorge Ramos is a Mexican journalist on Univision. Really good. But right now, he's basically, and this may not be his intention, but he certainly does not help the cause. He's helping them divide Americans. Obviously, Jorge Ramos disagrees with Trump's thoughts and building a border and deporting all Latinos. But if Trump's thoughts are so unrealistic, why bring those issues as your counter arguments like he did, right? I'll get on that in a little bit. And why not talk about the real life pragmatic issues that I mentioned? Now, those kind of arguments, Jorge Ramos arguments, make a lot of sense, right? Before he got kicked out.